in that, what does that mean to you? Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your glory. What that mean? Somebody do a little show. When you hear that, what that say to your spirit? No takers? Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your glories. To me, that tell me that I have a way. And I have a way. When, like this last week or so, I've been kind of in one of them kind of moods. And so being in one of those kind of moods, I have been, pull that in. I have been kind of, not doing the best, getting out and all that, just been kind of dragging my leg and stuff, And so, for me, when I do that, I'm like, Lord, what's going on? What's happening? Is it time for me to get something? Is it attention? Is it just me that, I'm just in that place right now where I just need to rest? Because, it's said to all of us, hey, baby, how you doing, brother? It's said to all of us, come to me all who are burdened and heavy laden, and I'll give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, because my burden is easy and my yoke is light. So, even no matter how awoke you think you are, how spiritual you think you are, whatever, you find yourself sometimes on spiritual life support. I find myself, honestly, on life support. And I don't mean, hooked up to machines. I'm talking, like I'm telling Blanca, I haven't traveled in over a year for the surgery. It's time for me to go. I have to go. I just have to. I get like that. Like, I get short. My patience, I don't have no patience, and that's not normally me. I'm usually very patient, especially with ailing people. And my sister been, but now you've been. I said, Brenda, I'm a midget right now, baby. I don't want to be like that, but nevertheless, I am. So I'm like that though because of the human experience. I do ministry. I pick people up for work. I do this, I do that. I'm just not Superman. And then I'm 58. I have 3 different kind of arthritis. So I'm in the midst of all this, I'm fighting some things too. And that's the reality of it. Because I had to tell my friend, he said, but Waters, everybody was healed. I said, Ben, notice most of the time when they say people was healed, they say devils was cast out of them. But age bring on ailment. That's why it's important to eat and drink properly. That's what I'm doing for Lent. I'm gonna get back on track with the fruit, the vegetables, stop eating I've been eating a lot of bread. I like pasta, I like bread, rolls, stuff like that. I love that. So I put 20 pounds back on since August. So I gotta get on it. I'm gonna start walking too, so I know what I have to do. But if I didn't know what I have to do, or if I don't take an action, what's gonna happen? If I sit around and I pray, and I pray, Lord, I'm 20 pounds. Actually, now, Lord, I was down. I came a long way, and now I could do all that. But none of that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna embrace it right where it's at, and I'm going to deal with it from there. Because nothing else is going to change it until I take a action towards solving its it as a problem because it's my problem, because it was my lack of discipline. You understand? Now, a lot of people can't say that. It always have to be the next man's fault. But often I look at me first. When we look at Leviticus, the 19th chapter, and, verse 1 and 2, what they're doing to me, they're sweet talking you into it, That's why they went with that. They sweet talk you, they start sweet talking you in. But again, excuse me, Sister Rennie. What I did, and I'm afraid these, I had them printed, the 42 laws of the Maya and the 42 ideas, and they got one more, principles. That one there is harder to print off because they had a blurry, But anyway, so you can see where the things that they enforced on us, our ancestors done for thousands of years, but it wasn't enforced on them. They did it willingly because they had a relationship with on high. So they had a relationship with the Creator long before the other people came. And I was watching the show long before the other people came, over 1,000 years, we brought what would be called Christianity, Christianity never existed, but the way. Africans brought that to Greece. Now you have black preachers saying, and the Greeks say, but what about the Africans? It was Africans that brought it to Greece. And then the Greeks took a hold of it, stole it, put their labor on it, and now they're slaves. And, the Greek. And I used to do the same thing. So be careful, because I like agape, eros and stuff like that. But now that I'm learning, I have to find some kind of dialect to use to describe those things, because I know, or try to find out the dialect that existed there at that time is what I really should do, and then try to learn it that way. Because if we gonna awaken, if we're gonna become enlightened, like the Bible tells us to do, right? The Bible do tell us that, right? If we're gonna do that, then we have to be ready also for change. That's why I said, be not conformed, but be ye transformed by the renewing. So, but I don't talk change and being stupid. I'm talking change and being wiser. The Bible tell you be wise. Wise as a serpent, but humble as a dove. Be wise. Pay attention. I've always tell Blanca that. Pay attention. The story is being told. But, so anyway. So when you look in Leviticus, you have, of course, in verse 1 and 2, it is saying, the Lord spoken to Moses, saying, speaking to all the congregation of the children of Israel, and say unto them, ye should be holy, for I, the Lord, your God, is holy. That ye should be holy, for I, the Lord, your God, is holy. And this is the thing that gets me. And people say it all the time, they filthy rags and all that, but they talk about the blood of Christ. But how you going to talk about the blood of Christ and be filthy rags? Or how you going to be unholy if God said God is holy? So when the brother the other day posted, he posted about the devil, fighting the devil, I said, dude, if you have become this God, and where sin abound, grace even more abound, the devil ain't even a factor. They created that anyway. So when we're going to stop letting them detour us? So the thing is, I say, remember, as you think, so are you. If you think about that, that's what you call it. When you're trying to be successful, you put all your thoughts and energy in what you're trying to succeed in. You don't have nothing to borrow to what's going to pull you away. And we don't need to stand over there to be pulled away. They're going to have people up there that's going to do that. Family, so-called friends. You see what I'm saying? But what your job is? What your job is to keep on pushing on. Because it's not their mission, it's your mission. God didn't give it to them, God gave it to you. So God says here, So that he's telling you're gonna be holy. And even in the 5th chapter, we go back there, tell you about you holy, you righteous. So when people say you're not holy, you're not righteous, that's crazy. The same book that they use to tell you you're not, it tell you are. But we have become so negative in our ideology, in our thinking, in our theology. We have become so negative in our thinking, we can't see if I'm made in the image and likeness of God, that I have to be a God. We can't see that. But what else you gonna be? You ever seen a dog become a horse? You ever seen an elephant become a giraffe? You understand? So if I'm made in the image and likeness of God, then I am a God. Now, we know all that stuff, but I'm saying that that's common sense there. But get this. Don't nobody tell you what the image and likeness of God is. Well, some will tell you love, but it's love in the spirit. The image of God is love and the likeness is spirit. So when you love and your spirit is awakened and you doing things in the spirit, then you moving in God. You understand? So it's not all that old complicated stuff. It's very simplistic. Remember, in Matthew 11:25, the Yahshua Haru says, I think it from hiding from the wise and prudent and revealing it to the babes. See, they try to make it so complicated that people can't get it, but the Bible itself says it's very simplistic. So when you start approaching it from a simplistic perspective first, you say, it can't be this simple. Because I've been so accustomed to it being pushed on me as something that, just so lavish or big, something that may not be in my spectrum, that I didn't take the time out to say, God gonna interpret it for me. Give it to me. And when that happens, I'm going to walk in it, and then they're going to criticize. Whatever you see, whatever I do, I get criticized. It don't matter what it is. The Bible said, whenever I try to do good, evil is always present. But evil don't have no power over me, so I don't entertain it. I don't. When my day starts, and this is a true story, when my day starts starting all bad, I step back out of that. I take control of it. You have the power to take control of your day. Now, some days I just want to be lazy and lay in the bed. So this last week, that's all I done. But that's, part of depression that I suffer. But I could have got out. And I know once I get out and start moving, I feel better. But I just wanted to rest. But anyway, so when we talk about this, about being holy and stuff, then we have to be godly. So if I'm godly, then he tell you, like in Blanca book, it wasn't commands or commandments, it was requests, sort of. But anyway, that's supposed to be the 10 Commandments, right? In Leviticus, start at the ninth verse. But hitting on the 9th verse is not the commandments yet. The 9th verse is proof that whenever man came on the planet, whatever man was, whoever, whatever, however you think man was created, provisions for them was made already. Whatever your theology, dogma, whatever your stuff is, I don't approach from that perspective no more, because we all just following what somebody tell us is right. So, but the thing is, what's right for you? But he says in verse 9, and when you reap the harvest of your fields, thou shalt not wholly reap the corners of the fields, neither should thou gather in gleaming of thy harvest. And thou shalt not glean thy vineyard, neither shalt thou gather every grape of thy vineyard. Thou should leave them for the poor and the strangers. I am the Lord your God. Did God not make provisions? Tell me with just this simplicity, how can these people justify having all this money in the so-called church and all these people suffering? All this money collected in the name of so-called God, the name of so-called Jesus. When I say so-called God, so-called Jesus, because the God and the Jesus that they worshiping is not obviously the people of this book. It's not even the energy. It's not even kindred. It don't even have a like relationship type atmosphere, demeanor, whatever. To me, do you see here the greed, all this stuff where people say that they justified and all that stuff? What we see here? What the Most High Creator say? Verse 9. I'm asking you.
You asking me?
Yeah.
Denise, Sister D?
Sister D. You was looking at me.
I look at you all the
I
time.
know, but I'm saying verse 9. But I want some dialogue.
From me?
Yeah.
When I read verse 9,
In 10.
well, 9 and 10, that's telling me in scriptures what you have preached, that our Heavenly Father and Mother gives us everything that we need in life, that He and she are our providers. And I've said that like all through my life, but I've said it in the sense that I've constantly asked for it.
Right.
You know, but now, Sister Loretta and Sister Monica, now it's different. It's like when I pray, in a sense, I'm not asking for things. In a sense, I have a spirit of knowledge and acceptance that exactly what it says in 9 and 10, that God provides, and that every good thing that I need, and in some cases, just simply want, is going to be given to me. So when I pray, the first thing I say is thank you. Because I don't know why it took me so long to get to that realization, but
Indoctrination is a monster, sister. Well, go ahead.
But Pastor and I was talking earlier this month, and I don't remember specifically what we were talking about or when we were talking, but I told Pastor, we were talking about God and life, and I told Pastor, I said, Pastor, I know. It's just simple as that, you know? It's not a matter of intellectual belief or religion or faith. Because in a sense, I know God. I don't know God because I feel like I'll never fully know God or understand God, you know? And I don't even know if it's my intention to, well, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not my intention to fully know God or understand God. You know who I want to fully know and understand? My mama and my grandma. Because they are my mentors. They are my moms. I look at what those women did in their lifetime and what they went through and what they accomplished. And I say, and this is a prayer, that if I could only emanate them, you know, Pastor said, what could you be other than a God? I see God in them. I see God in them. And if I could just achieve just a small degree of what they achieved, with what little they had, and it's like, I know we're not on the second reading, but that's what comes to my mind. Ida B. Wells.
Well, we can move.
Did you read the second reading, sister? Here. Is it?
It's under here.
Okay. I'm gonna give Sister Loretta time.
No, talk about it, because,
I'm
you
gonna read
know,
it while
time.
you're
We're on time.
Okay. You want to read it out loud?
Go ahead, talk about it. Let me read.
It's like I said, it's not a request anymore in my life. It's a realization, you know, that God manifests His and herself in the lives of people that I've been allowed to have around me in my life experience, you know. And talking about Ida B. Wells, talking about women, period, specifically black women, women of color, you know. I don't want to sit down here and start enumerating what they accomplished or what they did as a grandmother and a mother, because I'm sure each one of us could do the same thing. Now that y'all won't go around the table.
No.
You know?
Yeah, like you said, we all have
Right.
fond
you know?
memories and everything.
But you talk about the presence of God. And this is something I realized and I experienced in my life. People that touch me and help me to make decisions today based on what they said, what they did. Sometimes they didn't have to say or do something, just their presence alone, you know?
What that's called?
I don't know what it's called, Pastor.
Ministry of presence. So people think that when you go do ministry, you have to always talk. Sometimes you don't have to talk. Sometimes you're just there for the shoulder, for the ear, but not for your mouth to move. Mm-hmm. It's called a ministry of presence. Most people don't know about that, but that's what it's called. Like you said.
Practice the presence.
Yeah, you just there.
You know, where the presence of God.
Yeah, your energy, you bringing your energy there. So bringing your energy there, that's what you swapping. You know, energy is flowing. Yeah, and the God in Namaste, God in me greets the God in you. It's just that way. So, but what I like in verse 9 and 10, we see, because a lot of times what we see is a lot of selfishness. We see people that don't share with people. We see people that collects a lot of money. But they keep it for themselves and do personal stuff with it. But in this Bible, in verse 9 and 10, it's not said, the Most High Creator didn't say that you can't prosper. But the Most High said, in your prospering, don't forget people that's passing through town, the strangers, and the poor that live in the city that need to eat, and you have abundance. That's all. You don't give it all to them, but leave the corners for them. That fell off the vines, let them pick that up and eat it. They need it. So a provision was made, but we people, the church, seem to have lost track on service to God as services serving humanity. Service to God is not speaking in tongue. Service to God is not preaching. Service to God is not doing the Eucharistic ministry and all that. That's not service to God. That's service to us, the church. Service to God is, when I was hungry, did you feed me? When I was naked, did you give me some clothes? When I was thirsty, did you give me the drink? And so the Bible says that God made provisions. So then we have to evaluate ourselves to see, do I even know what God's provision is for humanity? And do I live by it? That's a question that we have to all ask ourselves. See, before we could branch that out anyway, you have to figure, and this is what, on the Sermon on the Mount, in chapter 7, verse 3, where it said, judge not, for by the same measures you judge, that's verse 1, so shall you be judged. But it said, why worry about the splinter in their eye when you have a beam in your eye? In other words, they didn't say don't tell them, say get you straight. Then you can help them more, you can see more clear to help them out better. But if you're not clear, if you're not together, then chaos, what they say, the blind leading the blind, where they going to end up at? In a ditch. So someone have to be street worthy. If somebody ain't street worthy, boom, ditch, here we come. When I see these kind of things, and then I reflect, and often people, anything can happen. You either church, you jealous, you this, you that. When, I know that the church is a place of exchange. That's it. The church. How I know the church wasn't intended to make people rich, because people that went to church didn't have much. So if that's why, if we look in Leviticus 27, then you'll see where it talks about you could set parts of your house over, all kind of stuff. You see, but that's not taught, because that don't bring in the bucks. But nevertheless, when we see here, so we see the provisions, so just make sure, and I'm saying you can't feed everybody that say they're hungry, then you wouldn't eat. But, don't forget what being great in God is. Because even Yahshua Haru said, if you want to be the greatest, you have to be the least. Your great is in service, not in receiving rewards. But they have turned it. See, and so that's why I always ask, what God do they serve? And you have to be real. You have to be very sure you're not with their God and their Jesus, because they made one. They made their little setup. And that's the one that bless you with more and more and more and more. Like I live in all this abundance. That's why I told some people this the other day, and I mean this with all I have in me. If I die right now and went to so-called heaven, and I see streets paved with gold and mansions, I want out. I don't want to be there. I swear that's the truth. Why? Why would a spirit need a street paved with gold when all these children out here not eating and stuff? And I know it's because of greed and all that stuff. I get that. But the thing is that how do we get back control of it? And so, one have to think. And so the thing is maximization of your potential. You remember last week it said you find out your purpose, and then you work in your purpose, you have God's grace. You remember that last week, Sister D? You work in your purpose, you have God's grace. It's talking about giving you the keys to the kingdom. Yeah. So keys is authority. So here it said, okay, you can with gleaming and just leaving the corners, you're not gonna miss out on much, but people gonna eat though. Not only the people that live in the town that can't afford to take care of themselves, but even strangers as they're passing through. They have something they can pick up. Now, I was thinking about this when I was reading this the other day, and yesterday reflected back on me. I like satsumas and kumquats and all that, and we know that's a short season here. But you see them growing all on trees and people yard, but the yard's locked up tight in the drum. They ain't taking them off or nothing. You know, they, in my opinion, they should somehow make it accessible to the public, because it's good fruit that's gonna go bad because no one have access to them. You know, and so my thing is, we who profess being godly don't even know what being godly is. But who else? You want to say something about that, Redden? Because I don't really want to get into the so-called Ten Commandments, because if I get into the Ten Commandments, then I have to get into the 42 laws of Mayat, which is where the Ten Commandments came from, and I told y'all to get it. I would not do wrong. I would not steal. I would not act with violence. I would not kill. I would not be unjust. I would not cause pain. I would not waste food. I would not lie. I would not desecrate holy places. I would not speak evil. I would not abuse my sexuality. I would not cause the shedding of tears. I would not sow seeds of regret. I would not be aggressor. This stuff outdate what we was taught that was from the beginning by 4,000 to 6,000 years. So when we see that, then we know where this stuff comes from, right? And so I was thinking about that. And so, but it didn't say it was a command, because if you living under free will and choice in commands, then you're not that free. Because commands make you not be free. Command puts you under the power and authority of, we under the power and authority of the city of New Orleans, the state of Louisiana, the United States corporation government. You know, so we're under the authority because we live in the land. Now, who gave them the right to have authority? Who knows? But they took it or they have it. So then we have to be obedient enough and disciplined enough to operate in and around these structures. Am I right? So, you know, it makes it sometimes hard because things changes, things changes. So anyway, so recap the second verse. Speak Leviticus 19:2. Speak unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, and say unto them, Ye shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, is holy. And I swear, for up to about 3 years, I swore that I was a Gentile based on the misinformation we've been taught, which I don't get into all that, because even that other stuff is a part of enslavement. So what we do, I found that we fight to represent that don't represent us more. I saw something the other day that gave me that perspective. How we'll fight each other. Like when Gil King made that statement about Kobe Bryant. Yeah, it wasn't the time or the place. But let's get that anger about all these murders. You know, let's not just march one time. Let's make some stuff change. We have to make some things change. So let's get that angry about that. Let's let that become that important. So, in that, so God said, "Be holy." Then Ida B. Wells, we saw, came out of the grips of slavery, right? Then she opened her own newspaper. That's a heck of an accomplishment. You know what she had to have gone through. Then, when she was speaking the truth, they say you should know the truth should make you free. But then when you can't record a story on the devil and tell the truth and make it favorable, because there's no favorable actions in the devil. So she reported their true, who they truly were, who they were. She reported it, and what they did, because of it, they burned down her whole business establishment. But she went to England and continued on. So she had the will to do what? To succeed. She had the will to succeed. And what she didn't do, and I'm sure she took her moment out and cried over her business and all that. I'm sure she did. But she didn't stop. So she didn't come to the point and say, well, you know what, they got the best of me, I quit. Because all she had to do is shut her mouth and go live somewhere in the country and just be a machine. But she said, but before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. But if she'd have went back to Memphis, they would have killed her. You know, they was gonna kill her. And so she went to England and still was able to. And so sometimes you have to get out of your nest or your comfort zone. You have to come outside of your box sometime, because God have some different stuff for you. But if you resign yourself to that box, then you'll never see the harvest that God has set forth for you. So anyway, we see that God said that we are holy like God is holy. We see that in verse 9 and 10, God says that when you harvest your stuff, leave some for the hungry, for the poor, and strangers. So God made provisions. So why, for the life of me, I can't get why this country give Israel $14 million a day. But statistically, it says over 20 million children go to bed hungry in this country every night. 20 million. And so if they hungry, the parents have to be hungry. Or some of them have to be hungry, because I know my children would eat before me. So when we think about that, with all the money that we see thrown around, why are people hungry again? But everybody's calling the name of Jesus, so it's cool. You know, they say, Trump and them say Jesus, Pence say Jesus, all of them say Jesus, so it's cool. But what Jesus and God are they talking about? Are they talking about these people, the Yeshua, Jesus, Yeshua, Haru, the Most High creator of this book? Are they talking about the one that they created? Because most of the things that they say now is of God. This book speaks against it. Which is right? That's a serious question. Which is right? But we know that people now interpret things predicated on their agenda. Like, you know, I always say you have to be careful about, well, Blanca told me yesterday that it seems like when I say things that I say it in a way like, look, this is it. But it's really not my intention to do. Because my intention is for people to inject what I'm doing is saying this is how I see it. And I'm strong in my beliefs. So this is how I see it. But that don't mean that's the way you see it. Right? But anyway, I made something I need to work on. For her to identify that is something that I need to check into. I could get mad, angry, or I could get better. How am I going to get better? By trying to fix that you know that I have that.
Can I just say something
Mhm.
about that? And I don't want to get off the subject, but I think it has to do with scriptures too. I think sometimes what we perceive is our response to another person, okay? Or a situation or a thing, okay? Now, I'm not saying when another person does something, it's not their action and they own their action and that's their action, what they did. Now, why they did it or what they were thinking when they did it, you don't really know.
Right.
You really don't. But what you do know is yours, and I'm learning this about myself, is your response to what they do and what they say. That's what you know your response, okay? Now, if you are of the opinion in this comment you made, that you made a comment about, that your opinion don't matter, or what you say is not as important as what the other person says, then you might perceive that other person as common statement being, can I use the word dogma? Meaning, what is what I say is what it is and how it goes. Not unless they have actions to support that opinion, okay? Now, if they act like that, actions speak louder than words. And then is your perception of them saying something and saying it like this is it. If they act like this is it, then you have the correct perception. But sometimes, I know with me, I have to check myself. I'm not saying I'm not wrong or I'm right. I'm not making a judgment call. I just have to check myself and realize, well, this is what I perceive. And I think what a person delivers to you is just as important as your response to what they deliver. And with me, I'm learning, if I check my response, because I might not want to respond like that, or how I'm responding to you might not be beneficial to me, you know. So in some ways, when we checking somebody else, we need to check ourselves.
Amen. Yeah. Yeah. Amen. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's true. So in saying that, let's do Matthew 5 so we can get out of here. Matthew 5, starting at 38. That very interesting. Very, very interesting. But, ready, you don't have nothing you wanted to say about the last subject? Ready?
No, because really, what you were saying that Blanca perceived.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, because you kind of talked on it yourself in the beginning. You know that you just needed to get away.
Mm-hmm.
When I came in, you were talking on it,
Mm-hmm.
and so you yourself perceive that you do need to get away so you can calm yourself down because you're out of character yourself. So you already know this.
Right.
So you're gonna handle it.
Right. Yeah. It happens, like, it just happens, but, it's just, I'm glad you say what you say, because I remember when I first started doing introspection, people used to tell me I had low self-esteem because I started telling myself the truth. You know, it's a lot of times you be messed up. Your ideologies are messed up, how you respond to people and all kind of stuff, you know. But if you don't look at that, then how can you get better? Because the goal is the only way that you can do this kingdom work if you better. If you ready, prepared, and fit for the kingdom, now whatever kingdom that is for you. Because if it's true religion, then we know it's the kingdom of enslavement. If it's true spirituality, then it's true being connected to the Most High, and it's not talking about dogma, doctrine, or theology, but it's relationship. And when I have relationship with the Most High, then the Most High and I now communicate. The Most High say, my people gonna know my voice, and so will I know their voice. I'm not making this up. This is in the script. And so if that's the case, then once I develop that relationship, because I always say this, you could take, because there's a lot of momos and pawpaws, but you could put us on, you could tie something around our eyes and stuff and put us on building and put our grandchildren across the street. Most of us gonna know when that pawpaw mama come out, you're gonna know that's one of yours. Because you keen in on him, on that voice, you know. And so it's the same way I think about with the Most High. When the Most High said, Moses, go tell them that just like I'm holy, they holy. All right? So you holy. Why we don't get taught that? Why we never got taught that we were holy, and we work from that paradigm, and opposed to being a sinner, being born a sinner? Because I never say my baby a month is a sinner. You crazy? She don't even know what's going on. She just know when she need milk. She know when she done pooed or peed on herself, and she cry because that's her form of communication. But somebody try to tell me crying is being selfish. Really? It's selfish to eat? No, it's a necessity to eat or you're going to die. This is why God made provisions for everybody to eat. That's why God said, when you take and you feel the stuff that fell to the ground in the corners, leave it for the poor and for the stranger, so everyone can eat. You must eat to live. You know, it's not like coming out your house having more than one vehicle, deciding which one you're going to take. It's not like that. You know, because with eating, if you say, oh, okay, I'm not going to eat today. And some people, they drink, you know, alcohol, wine, and all that. They drink themselves to death because they don't eat. And I used to drink a lot and didn't eat. And so I know how that is. And so, no, you have to eat. Eating is a necessity. So you can't compare the two, you know, like, but you have to drink as well. But you don't have to drink wine. Even though in that region, wine was popular because water wasn't that popular. And the grapes have, you know, we know the grapes have good, compounds and stuff in it. So it's good. And the darker the grape, the better. Ain't there something they used to say, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice? And we used to just think, but think about this. A lady told me this 3 weeks ago, that dark people is evil. I said, really? You really still think that? You 68 years old, and you really still think that? Like, you don't see what that was? Everything, they try to make you think everything that's good for you and good to you, bad. Because they say dark, but then now, if you, any nutrition in the name, they tell you the darker it is, the more stuff it have in the, you know, the more valuable it is to you as a human to consume. I was reading up on grapes, you know, the white grape, the green grapes, the red grapes, the black grapes. Each one of them, like the red grape have a chemical that the white grape don't have, extra. Then the black grape have that one and the extra one that the red grape don't have. So The black grape have what you need, the dark grape. So, but these people have made you think dark stuff is bad. But the only thing that they didn't change to being the black was business and money. Is to being the black mean that you're profitable. But everything else, they made black evil. And like I tell people, black is not a color of mourning. White was the color of mourning, not black. Black is the color of celebration. But all that's been changed. So, but if you don't do no kind of research, because again, the information, study to show yourself approved before God, the workman need not be ashamed. Learn how to rightly divide the word of truth. If you don't do research, but you have to do research outside of that box, because we found this out. Like what in 2008? What it is? 2020, right? In 2008, around June, we started reading the so-called New Testament. And we ain't finished yet. We're almost finished. We're right at the end of Revelation. But 12 years, think about that. 12 years we've been reading that. And that's not that much. But you know what we was doing? We wasn't just reading it to reaffirm our enslaved position. What we was doing is we was reading it to find out who we are in God and to reclaim that because God gave that to us. You understand? That makes a difference? Y'all see what I'm talking about, right? So you can see places where things was done. So God, because I always, you know, the two scriptures, well, for God so loved the world. But then he destroyed the world. So atheists have fun with that. Serious, they do. And God's supposed to be a God of love, but most of the Bible is full of murder. And murder, people occupying space and people coming and wanting their space and kill them and say, God said kill you. Really? What God is that? Where God said, I wish that one not perish, no, not one. And so that's what I'm saying when you talk about the God of the Bible or the Jesus, Yeshua, or Haru, or the Bible, and you talk about the ones they created. The ones they created, you know, the God that Pence and all them, Trump, all them evangelical, is white supremacy. They created all that stuff. So they created all that stuff and told you, don't think, don't research, don't do nothing. Just do what we say do. And look what we see. All we see is war and destruction. This Bible in the Old Testament tells you, where God says in Isaiah, that there'll be no more war. You remember they say the lambs and the lions will be laying together and stuff? Because everyone will have everything they need. War stopped people from having their basic rights that God afforded them. The right to eat, the right to drink, the right to live, and the right to flourish. And because again, in Leviticus 19, 9, and 10, what did it say? What he said? Leave stuff for the poor. People got to eat. You go make your money, but save some for the poor and for the strangers. So what did I tell you? What God you see? When you see all these places getting bigger and bigger, you know, it's like, I even look, I say, well, okay, they talk about Jesus, right? Jesus, Yeshua, or Haru, whatever. But they talk about Jesus, but you can't show nowhere that Jesus spent more than an hour or two in a building a week. It don't exist. So going to church for 5 days, then you can't do the work that you was being prepared to do. Why? Because you're being robbed. You're being robbed without a gun. You're being robbed with a microphone. But in the meantime, that the money that you could take and go feed the poor, the hungry, the clothed the neck and all that, you giving to the crooked pimp with the mic. So the pimp with the mic, their family dress up in all these lavish and fancy clothes, but you not even eating. You know, and people give their last and then they have to go beg something from somebody else. That's foolish. But it's taught, but it's foolish. I'd be darned if I'm giving my last. I told Stars them that when I leave my house, I know what I'm giving. You can come with all them that show stuff. I'm not falling for that because I know what this is. I know what it's supposed to be, and I know how it's supposed to be. You see, so I'm not in that loop no more. So I don't do this for them and their grandiosity. I do this because it's the right thing to do. I think it's the right thing to do. You know, I think, you know, just being aware that we share this planet with more than ourselves because you have a fair income and you won't miss a meal. I don't mean that you can't be concerned about someone that is going to miss a meal. You know, and that's the way I am. I am like that so much. Willie Rice, come on, my big brother. But I tell you, God is good, though, and that's, you know, that's been my story the whole time through this whole journey for me. And so I use this scripture, Matthew 5, starting at 38, to say, "For you have heard it said, an eye for eye, tooth for tooth." And then he go on to talk about loving. Now, mind you, because we have to get this now. This part here, I'm going to lose some people, but I have to say it because it's the truth. Mind you, the people that was preparing this for you was the same people that was raping your ancestors, that was feeding your ancestors' children alligators and tigers and lions as entertainment, hanging your ancestors in a tree as entertainment. They used to sell tickets to the hangings, and they would sit there and eat food while the people hanging in the tree. So, mind you, this is what's going on. So, do you think that these people will give you something to say, we equal? You know, we equal now. There's no difference. Because the church actually is designed to be a socialist organization. I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks. Socialist meaning that there's no big and no small. Everyone is of the same whatever, you know, whatever you are, everyone else is, because that's the God that we serve. And if the Bible say that none was worthy of salvation, but it was a gift from God, where everybody got the same gift, so how yours better again? You see, because it say we all have sinned and fell short of the glory. So, you know, so then we were sinners, but then once we come out of sin and we don't practice sin no more, because we be not conformed, we've been transformed by the renewing of the mind. We in the process of the mind renewal. Romans 8, the carnality state. So it's a process that we have to go to come to the knowledge of the truth. But they never wanted you to come to the knowledge of the truth, being equal. And you think that they would write anything other than an eye for eye, tooth for tooth? You know, in the Old Testament, say eye for eye, tooth for tooth. What you do to me, I do to you. They say, oh no, you heard us say that, but we telling you can't do that no more. You have to love your enemy. If he take one thing, give him another. You see, give us everything that we take from you, because you see, we still in charge. Remember? Now, Charlie said, and I'm going to call him on this one. I am going to call him on this one. He said that his family have a copy of the Slave Bible. I said, you serious? He said, yeah. I said, where? In Florida. We going. If I want to see that, because it's 14 books and half of the books removed. So remember, the same people that enslaved your ancestors, the same people that gave you that. And I'm not, trying to poke, because we use this as a good But we know that we told that we are the epistle of God, the word of God. Not written in ink, but written by the Spirit of the living God, not engraved in stone, but engraved in the flesh, tab of your heart. But still, the 14, but I want to see that so bad. As soon as I heard about it, I was trying to buy it, but you can't buy that no more. I mean, I couldn't find it, I should say. It might have it somewhere, but maybe I didn't go deep enough. But so anyway, so they come and say, you have heard us say, if somebody do this, if somebody punch you in the mouth, turn the other cheek, all this stuff, forgiveness, all this letting people mess over you, because we're going to continue to mess over you in the name of God. We're going to continue to mess over you in church. See, in church, we're gonna continue to sell tickets to hang you, and you have to come to church. And as we come, you have to go back and back. That's how St. Augustine was built. Because the slaves got tired of, when the white folks came, they had to get up and keep going back and back. So they said, we want to build our own church because we was the people that brought spirituality to the world. Spirituality wasn't brought to the world by no other people but us. And so again, when you hear slaves saying about in the Greek, in the Latin and all that, they are slaves. Because the Bible itself tells us, not Bernard, the Bible itself tells us that Africans went to teach the way of the Lord. That's what the Bible said, not Bernard. So if that's the case, if that's the real truth, then we need to start figuring out what the Africans used to say. Because we know that the Greeks and the Romans changed this thing to fit them in their agenda. This is why you know why you have the Episcopal Church? You know who the head of the Episcopal Church? Y'all know who the head of the Queen. You know why you have it? Because the king then won't be under the Pope. He won't be subject to the Pope. So he split and made the Episcopal Church, and he was the head of the Episcopal Church. And so forth and so on. That's what they done. That's true. That's a true story. That's not made up. And so you have people say, oh, we have a black Episcopal Church. Can't be. You have black people that go to Episcopal Church. But the people that set the rules, the people that's the head, that make the final decisions, that's the church you in. If they're white, you in a white church. And could I tell you, when I went to church in the Army, the guy told me he didn't know they had black Roman Catholics. It don't make sense to me. Romans, blacks not Roman, but blacks occupied Rome before the Europeans did. But anyway, so when you think about that, so again, he said, verse 39, but I say unto you that ye should resist evil, but whosoever should smite thee on thy right cheek, turn him to the other cheek. So is it saying physical though? It's just to be taken literal. Or just like most of the Bible, is it just a part of the screenplay? Because that's what a lot of people define the Bible as a screenplay. I saw this yesterday. They was talking about it. Because most of it is theater. It is. It's poems and allegories, and it's just real. That's what it is. So what we do here, what we do when we figure this thing out and we do these things, we turn the other cheek. We do this, we do that. And then God says, look in verse 43, you have heard it said, it's been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thy enemy. But he said, I say, love your enemy as you love yourself. Now, what's the benefit of loving your enemy to you? Your enemy. Now, we know what the word enemy means, right? We all clear what that word means, enemy. What's the benefit of loving your enemy? How would this benefit you?
If you move on, you wouldn't be stuck in the same place, holding grudges, being holding animosity toward others. It releases you.
Come on now. I try to tell young people, you carrying 1,000-pound burden on your shoulder, and that person is going on. You don't never have to fool with them again. But don't hold on to that thought. That thought is slowing you down. And if it keep on, it become heavier and heavier. Then it consumes you. Release it. Let it go. It don't say nothing about you have to fool with them no more. Don't carry it. Don't carry your burden. So, in 45, that ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. For he maketh his sun to rain on the just and unjust. Like, I was thinking about that. Like, if you go on a job, you have belief systems across the spectrum, right? Mm-hmm. So, how can you validate that your belief in what you believe in? How can you validate that what you believe in is why you prospering in life? You know, we quick to say, if something happened, we quick to say, oh, I got blessed with this. How can I make that statement? How do I know that I've been blessed? That God hand moved on my behalf? Or have I just become conditioned, like most people, to say, oh, I've been blessed. Or if we don't say we blessed, then we feel like, so it's just it's become cliche-ish. But I'm talking about really you knowing. How do you know that it was God moved in your life, in your situation, in the condition, whatever it was for you? You know that, but God. Anyone want to take a stab at that?
Because I know, for me, I know that I've done everything I possibly can do in the situation to make it come to where it should be. And then when it comes and nothing's moving, and I get to the end of it, I say, well, Lord, you take it. I can't do nothing with it. And I move on to something else, and then he works on that. And then the blessing comes through. I know it's not me because I couldn't do it. Sometimes maybe it done worked on in months, and nothing come through.
Come on now.
But it was because I had my hand on it and wouldn't just give it to God and let him have it. But when I put it in his hands and give it to him, say, all right, I'm through. You take it. Then things happen.
Yep, things do happen. Anyone else? Right quickly, before we kind of wrap this thing up in a little bit. You want to say something, honey? You ain't say the word. Come on. No, say how you know when God bless you, your life. How you know when it was God. And it wasn't with how you know.
Well, me personally, I just believe in the high being. And that's what I live my life, that's how I live my life with the Spirit. That's it.
That's it.
That's it for me.
You want to say a little something? Okay. And I say, I validate what Sister Loretta said, because I made a valuable mistake one time. It could have really cost me a lot. And because being a rookie, I was supposed to do this, but instead of doing this, I went here. So when I come back, now I'm working against time, and time is slowly just eating me up. And I almost lost that opportunity, because the lady, she just knew they wasn't going to do it, She just kept on. And I said, just do it. If it's not for me, it's not for me. I just won't get it. And when she called me back and said, look, I don't know what it is about you, but everything you ask for, you get. I said, it's the Most High, Pat. But I also learned that even in the Most High, I have to put some skin in the game. See, because I took my skin and brought it to Africa. But I was on the clock. So I went to Africa for 2 weeks. Now that means I just had 2 weeks to get everything together. But I had a month. So I should have took care of what I should have took care of, then went to Africa. But, you know, I was newbie at that. I was newbie in what I was doing. And so it was something that I was pushing hard for, and I almost messed it up. Not because I wasn't pushing for it and I didn't do everything I could, because I didn't inform myself well enough, because I was ill-informed. And so what happens, a lot of us in this so-called spiritual walk is ill-informed because our information comes from people whose intent was to be deceitful from the start. So what it says that, what the Bible calls it is, it has what's called a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. So that form of godliness, it looked good, it looked godly, it looked holy, but when you get down to the nitty-gritty, a pyramid scheme. A lot of churches now, organizations, it's a pyramid scheme. Serious. We see what the Bible said, what God said. I always say this, God never gave nothing, no power over man, never. And I always say this to you all, when God created man and woman, well, woman and man, everything they needed was here already. God didn't create nothing after man and woman. So everything you need is here. Nothing falling out the sky. And then we see God say, look, make sure my poor eat now. And don't forget about the strangers, because you know people are going to be passing through. You see, this was the mind of God. So this God in the Bible is concerned about the well-being of their people. The God that they created is concerned about the well-being of the pastor's bank account. There's two different gods. See, the God that's worried about the pastor's bank account is not worried about the hungry, the widows, the poor. The God of the book says, take care, be sure to see that the poor and then the widows was considered in that. And strangers, the poor, the widows, and strangers have something to eat. So the God of the Bible and the God that they created is just two different gods. So when I started seeing that, in fact, when I used to go around and speak, I started saying that they tend to have two Jesuses, two gods. Well, I stopped getting invited around because I was exposing, and I wasn't exposing intentionally, but God just was opening up my eyes. And I told y'all, God sent the guy to me and told me to get away from the broad and wide, stay what you're doing. I swear, that guy told me that. So that's what God says, keep speaking the truth. And that's what people always say, man, you speak the truth. Now, sometimes it's like, sometimes not. Sometimes it's accepted, sometimes rejected. My job, and this is what I want people to get, even my wife, I'm not trying to make you believe what I believe. I'm only giving information based on how I believe it. But I know, based on now, that there's no one-dimensional. I used to believe that stuff, but I know that's not the truth. So that's why I always tell people, we use a lot of terms that warrant definitions that we don't define, and a year later, now we confused. Because we use terms where your definition of that term is different from my definition of that term. So now we're at that crossroad. And now you see you looking for this and I'm looking to do that because this is what it means to me. but this is what it means to you. But we don't take time out to figure all these things out, to really get to know. And like Percy Sledge said, take times to know. It's not an overnight thing. We have to get back to taking our time, getting to know people, getting to know our communities. If we're gonna date, get to know the person you're dating. So when you do enter into what's called a serious relationship, you know that you can deal with that. You see, you can deal with that. So I say in Matthew 5:38 through 48, when he talks about, you have heard us say eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Personally, some of it, I think, they put together. Again, they couldn't tell you that we equal to you now. God loves you. God don't see you no different from me. In fact, our ancestors knew that because our ancestors taught them about God. They didn't even know about God. But then they took what our ancestors taught them, flipped it, put their faces in it, and all that they couldn't steal, they bastardized. So I got all this stuff copied. But I like this one here. Boy, when I saw this blew me. This here. I put this on my Facebook. This here, because they used to tell us, this here, 666 is the mark of the beast. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at History TV, and History TV said that that's an error. It said the mark of the beast is 636 because it's short something. But 666 is perfection because it has everything that it needs. It has 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. Well, guess who have that? And guess why they're the only person on the planet that can produce anything on the planet. And now you see why they was making it evil. Serious, that's true. This, what I'm telling you is true, it's verifiable. This is true. Pull it up. You can pull it up right there. This is true. This is not made up. This is true. DNA proven. So when we start learning, when we learn better, we do better. You should know the truth, and the truth should make you free. We've been living out of ignorance. Out of ignorance, we've been living a hell of a lie. We've been sold some really, really, really stale cookies. And we should have had sense enough to know that the people that were selling the cookies wouldn't have ever gave us something that was top notch. It wasn't to their benefit to make us better. And here's the thing. Even during Jim Crow and everything, when they was really holding our people down or trying to, our people was flourishing. Why? Because our people was operating in themselves. They wasn't worrying about those people, the enemy, wanting to be like them, wanting to be with them. We all one people. You never was one people. You never was one people. That's just like, some of us have siblings or some relatives that envy some of the things that so easy to you because they would love for that to be them, but they don't have it. They wasn't gifted with that gift. So because you were, they become envious of you. It just happened. So anyway, so in Matthew 5:38, and I used to use this so much. You ever heard it said eye for eye, tooth for tooth? I used to use this so much, but now I'm very cautious about it because I've learned a lot more. When I used to use it strong and bold, I didn't know what I know now. You get it? But because I know what I know now, I have to be careful about it, and particularly about how I push it out there for people to grab a hold to. Now, do I think there's some value? Yeah, in it. But I don't think that it's talking about physical, and I think that you have to be careful because remember, for me, blind faith is stupid. For me, like you said, you don't believe no more, you know. Like we all of us at this table and had things that happened to us that was far beyond our control. So belief is not needed no more. You know, belief is in something that you never experienced the outcome of. If you never seen it in action and you experienced a outcome from it. But we all have experienced several outcomes from this. We don't have to believe no more. We don't have to have faith. I know who God is. I know God have me. I know God lives inside of me. I know that I am the very essence of who God is because I'm in the image and likeness of God. I didn't say that. The book said it. So if God says that, go tell the people that they're holy. I'm holy, they holy. Why? Because they're just like me. The Bible said that, not me. In Leviticus. Didn't it say that? Leviticus 2? 19, 1 and 2? Did it not say that? Tell them, I'm holy. I'm the Lord thy God. I'm holy, so they holy too. So how we get from being told we was holy to being told that we was filthy rags? We not worthy of God. We not worthy of God's grace when God said, hell, I created them like me. You see what I'm saying? That's me. That's me. Because when you think of image and likeness, look at this table. Not two people at this table have the same complexion, the same hair texture, nothing. So how are we all going to say that we made an image and likeness of God if it's predicated on our outer extremity? Come on, man. We can't. We can't say that. But when we look in the heart, that's why God says, it's my desire to live in the inward part of you, in your heart. I'm going to be your God. You're going to be my people. No longer do you have to from me from your friend and your enemy, but I'm going to reveal myself to you from the least to the greatest. God saying that I'm going to live inside of you. That's relationship, y'all. Relationship. When you have relationship, once you establish a relationship, you should know most of what you need to know about the subject at hand. Whether it's a person, whether it's a job, whether it's a business venture, whatever it is. Once you claim the relationship, you should be well informed. So to have a relationship with God, we have to know who God is. But how do we know who God is? Because God said, if you seek me, you will find me. If you're not, the door will be open. Whatever you ask, I'm going to give it to you. That's what the God of the Bible says. So how complicated is that? But tell me why I just learned that at 54, 55, and I've been preaching since I was in my early 30s.
I tell you why you just learned it. Because given the grace and the love of the Almighty for you, you learned it at 55. I learned it at 7.
Amen. But you know what was important? We learned it.
Yes.
And we know. So we can boldly say, and everything we say, we could point back to their book, the book that they say is their, which, I don't believe in one book. There are so much out here, information, and if you start doing that, then you letting them control everything, which is, because God, the Bible tells us, and here's the thing about the Bible. The Bible said, look, they got other stuff out here that's of God. He said, I got other sheep that's not of this fold. They're not doing this. They're doing other things. So then how do we know who they are? If everybody we meet that have a different idea, we go off and we start all kind of ruckus, opposed to just getting to know who people are, seeing what we have in common. Let's start there, and then we'll grow you know, to knowing each other more. And this is what consensus is. You're hurting me, so let's do it, you know. Like, I would love to see a Black Panther kitchen here, meaning women in here, well, people in here cooking, and children coming here getting breakfast. They might not get breakfast. I would love to see that. I would love to see children coming in here getting after school care, homework and stuff, assistance. I would love to see that. Then I know that we know who God is, and we doing that God expects of us. Anyone else want to say anything else? Anyone else? Anything else? Well, I like to just sum it up. Anybody want to say something in summary? Sum it up. Leviticus 19 is where the first time they say the so-called Ten Commandments was given. But if we look at the older documents, they call it, well, they call it the Book of the Dead, but it's not the Book of the Dead. It's called the Book of the Coming Forth of Day and Night. And it come right out of there. So we know what they do, you know. With our stuff, they make it fearful. But see these here, just tell you just what it is. So that's what, you know, it's everything in your little 10 Commandments is in there, but that's 42. And so what we made is, we'll read that, I will not in the morning. Then at night, you have another one that says, I have not. So you're telling God, I lived a good, precious day. Meaning God not all over your shoulder looking at every move you make. Because I said, why would God be over my shoulder with my stupidity when children in the hospital, people not eating? You know, there's so much to be done. And then I'm stupid enough to think that, you know, I'm eating every day and everything, that God have to be over my shoulder all the time. Come on, man, that's enslavement. But anyway, my prayer is that we get who God is and we get who we are in God. Because remember, Leviticus 19, 1 and 2, God told Moses, go tell the people that I am the Lord thy God and I am holy. Thus, that make them holy. Tell them that they are holy. God said that you are holy. And Jeremiah 31, 31 to 34, God said, my desire to dwell in the inward part of man and the heart of man. And he says that I'm going to be their God, they're going to be my people. That's why Jesus says, not will go in your mouth that defile you, for that will go in and come out. But it's that come out, because that will come from the heart. We got to get this stuff. So in the heart, because if ill come out of your heart, if ill come out of your mouth, that means it's coming out of your heart and God don't live there. Because the Bible says good and evil can't dwell in the same place. So you have to check yourself. You have to do introspection. Lastly, we know that if we made in the image and likeness of God, then that means that we are gods on earth. Psalms 82, but even Yeshua, Haru, Jesus, whatever you call him, says that. Say, isn't it written in your law that you're God? So in all that getting, get it overstanding. God bless you. God keep you. But in Leviticus, it says that, and then it right down, and then in Matthew, you know, it tells us how to now act that we've been suckered into their trap of enslavement. And if you salute your brother only, you know, it said, be ye therefore perfect. Look at the last verse, verse 48. It said, be ye therefore perfect,
What you looking for?
even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. Oh, yeah, just go close it.
I can't get over the key for that.
Yeah, he says, yeah, it's in the middle of the two. He says, be ye therefore perfect, even as I, your Father which is in heaven, is perfect. So God says that you're holy and that you're perfect. Stop saying that you're a sinner. Stop it. That's what the slave camp tell you. God, the God of the Bible, tell you that you're holy and you're perfect. If you're as God is, then you're not trash. You're not filthy rags. You're holy and you're perfect. Leviticus 19, 1 and 2. Matthew 5, 48. These two tell you who you are in God. So get in all that getting, get it overstanding. Stop being told by your slave master that you still a slave when God said, I made you free. So, look at it and see if, you agree. Nice, good morning, good morning. If you agree, God bless you. If not, then, I could take constructive criticism, not debates and not, you pointing fingers, I'm pointing fingers. I'm telling you my perspective. If your perspective is different, I listen to it, but I may know it already. Maybe I've watched it before. God bless, God keep. This is truly my prayer. Assalamu alaikum, ashe, peace, namaste. Werlin, good morning, baby. How are you this morning? Simone Peters, hey, Simone, I tried to get back with you, but I couldn't. God bless you. Hey, Bishop Chalkin, keep up the good work, brother. Happy Black History Month. Thank you, my brother. God bless you, Bishop. Thank you, Bishop.
Still need the key.
Antonio Solomon Quells, thank you for the waving of hand. Willie Rice, man, what's happening, brother? I want to talk with you, Rice, I really do. I really, really want to talk to you. Give me a call. I'm going to call you. Kiana, blessings. Elizabeth, blessings, thank you for coming on. Mary Kane, thank you, sister, for coming on. Blessings. Charlie Kaufman, thank you for coming on, sister. God bless, peace. Josiah Ville, Ty from Peru. Okay, from Peru. God bless. Brother Takuna, blessing. Josiah Ville, right, and God bless. Thank you. Thank y'all for coming on. God bless, God keep. This is truly my prayer. Again, assalamu alaikum, ashe, peace, namaste, hotel. Bye-bye.